My Igbo name is Mazi Shehu Kamgarida Sani. We are facing the effect of years of neglect, of failure of governance, and of failure of intelligence. There is no way any sensible human being will allow his own people to be killed. Our security agencies and the government has failed to take action when action was needed. A national flag cannot retain a nation, or a national anthem, or a national pledge, but it is entrenching justice, fairness, and equity. Well, first and foremost, there are three categories of violence going on in northern part of Nigeria. In the northeast, there is a terror kind of violence that has been on for the last 1 decade, which started with Boko Haram, and later a splinter called ISWAP, and the Asaru came into force. And these are terror groups that started as local organizations and later became linked to the global terror network. Boko Haram was aligned to Al-Qaeda, and ISWAP is aligned to the ISIS, and this is a segment of it in Nigeria. And in the northwestern part of Nigeria, we have banditry going on, which started from the state of Zamfara and later become cancerous and spread across the neighboring states of Katsina, Kaduna, and Niger, and now Kebbi and Sokoto states. Basically, the bandits are motivated by money. They have no political or theocratic or ideological agenda. They simply storm schools or kidnap victims as commuters and place phone calls and extort monies, heavy amount of money in millions. And they move further to cattle rustling, attacking villages, and in the process they destroyed villages, displaced millions of people, and take over territories. And this has been the problem we are facing in northwestern part of Nigeria. And in the north-central part of Nigeria, we have the problems of farmer herdsmen crisis, particularly in states of the north-central, in the Plateau State, in Nasarawa State, and in Benue State. And this has assumed a dangerous dimension of almost ceaseless bloodshed. So the causes of these are diverse, but we can generally say that we are facing the effect of years of neglect, of failure of governance, and of failure of intelligence. Successive administrations have failed to forecast of what is going to happen today, to have taken action right from the beginning. We know what caused Boko Haram, which was begun with the killing of their leader Mohammed Yusuf, and later it became a local terror organization, and later they aligned themselves with a global terror network. But in the case of the Northwest, the bandits started as cattle rustlers, and later they metamorphosed into attacking commuters, and then went further to attack villages, and they have virtually displaced hundreds of villages within the axis of Zamfara, Niger, Kaduna, and Katsina State. They have become an authority within a state. And the most unfortunate thing is that our own security agencies have proven incapable of tracking down and exterminating these terrorists. And it is becoming a source of crisis and problems, and threatening not just the peace of the states that are affected, but even the stability of Nigeria as a nation.
You have to.
First of all, let us go into the study of the thinking and the root causes behind these mass abductions. Mass abductions began with the insurgents in the northeastern part of Nigeria. First was Chibok, and later Dapchi. Storming schools and abducting students comes with two advantages to the terrorists. First, it gives them publicity. Second, it holds the government by the balls. And third, it comes with heavy financial reward, because they come to the realization that by abducting students, particularly girls in secondary schools, they are most likely to put the government under pressure, and there will be spotlight on them, and the government will be forced to negotiate with them and part with large sum of money, or else the lives of these girls or students will be in a harm's way. From Chibok, then we have Dapchi, then it moved to Kankara in Katsina State, and then Kagara, my alma mater, in Niger State, and then College of Forestry Mechanization in Kaduna, and then Government Girls School Jengibe, and later Greenfield University, and then the Islamic School in Niger State, 8, and then 9 is the Federal Government College Yauri in Kebbi State. And in all this, the terrorists and the bandits believe that by doing that, they will be able to get a lot sum of money being given to them by the government. It is a means for which they sustain their armed insurgency, at the same time enrich themselves. So this is what has become of it. But why, how did we reach here? What we have reached to this phase because our security agencies and the government has failed to take action when action was needed. For example, recently the Minister of Finance, Hajia Zainab, disclosed that the federal government released over 1.3 trillion naira to the defense and security apparatus of the state, and that money was released within 24 to 25 months. This excludes the special approvals where service chiefs go to the president directly and get, and it has also been funded. So we keep on pumping money into the problems without result being reaped from such kind of investment. So for both the insurgents and our security apparatus, the whole idea of banditry and terrorism, whether terrorism or counter-terrorism, the whole thing has become enmeshed in profiteering, as far as I'm concerned. Well, first and foremost, Nigeria became a nation in the last over 6 decades. And we were amalgamated as Northern and Southern Protectorate for over 100 years. And since that time, we are still facing the problems of trying to define ourselves, whether we are Nigerians or we are Northerners or Southerners. Nigeria is not the only country facing this kind of problem. Even Britain is facing problem with Scotland trying to secede. Spain is facing problem with Catalonia trying to secede. And in some other countries within the African continent, the same problems are also being faced. Even in Canada, Quebec wants to pull out of, at a certain time, out of Canada and become a country of itself. But now, where has all these things started? In our journey as a nation, we have experienced a civil war that has led to the death of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. But half a century, we ought to have moved forward. But there are issues we have not addressed as a nation. And I have always bring the attention of whoever tries to give me an audience that a national flag cannot retain a nation, or a national anthem, or a national pledge. But it is entrenching justice, fairness, and equity. So people are bound to revolt against injustice in a different way. Some by fighting the government, and some by feeling that fighting the government is hopeless and we should break the country. As far as I'm concerned, I believe that this country should remain one, and we should address the problem of socio-economic and political injustices by addressing the grievances of the secessionists and also headlong tackling those who pick up arms against the nation. Secessionist threats is mostly coming from the southeastern part of Nigeria. And to me, I believe the Igbos of the 50s and 60s and 70s are not the Igbos of the 21st century. The Igbos of the 21st century has moved beyond a race of 5 states. He has spread across the nation and spread across the continent, and has also dominated the economic lives of most nations and most society. So how do you pull him back to 5 decades ago, when already he is a king and a dominant force in almost all parts of Nigeria? So to me, I don't see the secessionist agitation as the majority views of the Igbo people, because I come from northern part of Nigeria, and there are Igbos that have been there long before our parents were born, and I've never seen any of them up to this moment trying to say he preferred to go back home than to remain in the north. From Kaduna to Kano to Sokoto to Yobe and all parts of the north, Igbos have become indigenous to where they live. And I don't see. They are in estate business, they are on the hotels, they own the shopping malls, they own the businesses. The market is the Igbo. So I don't see how those will leave their wealth, their prosperity in those locations and return back to where they used to be 50 years ago. I don't think that is realizable. But to me, in order to address the problems of secession, you just don't use force. You use justice, you use equity, and you use fairness. Let the Igbo who believed in one Nigeria make him feel that he has made the right choice. Why should, since after Civil War, we have not produced an Igbo president in Nigeria? What's wrong? Why should an Igbo man be continued to be profiled and stigmatized for something that has happened over 50 years ago? Why should the children and grandchildren of those who plotted secession continue to suffer for an identity? Why should where you come from matters in what you should be in this country? For example, now, from 1999 to date, we have had a president from the southwest, we have had two presidents from the northern part of Nigeria, and one from the south part of Nigeria. So what is wrong with not even allowing an Igbo to be a vice president in Nigeria? So when you have all this catalog of injustices, you are simply feeding the secessionist movement. The insecurity faced by the southeast and southwest is a fraction of what we face in the northern part of Nigeria. The killings in Zamfara alone is more than the whole killings in southern part of Nigeria. The killings in Kaduna State, in Niger State, is mind-boggling. The killings in Benue State. So, if we said when some criminal gangs come to kill us, and the best thing we should do is to break the country, how is the problem going to be solved? So we that are being attacked also from Kaduna State. So what do? It's the same people, the Fulanis that are attacking, headsmen are attacking you, and the one that are killing also our people. So where do we secede to? If you want to secede because of some people are killing your own people, then what of us? Where do we go to? I believe it goes beyond that. But I agree with you that the headsmen attack and the inability of the government to address the problems gave people the moral right and authority to defend themselves. It's not only in eastern part of Nigeria today. The governor of Benue State, that of Zamfara State, that of Niger State, that of Katsina State, just today, is saying, defend yourselves against bandits. So if the Easterners are defending themselves against armed herdsmen killing their people, they are absolutely right. Because there is no way any sensible human being who wants to live in peace will allow his own people to be killed. But let me give you two examples. You should not be putting the secessionist agitation in the southeast the same thing with that of the southwest. The southwest have no serious reason for threatening secession. If Nigeria oppresses the Igbo, then Yorubas and Hausas are partners in that crime because they occupy the seat of power at least from 1999 to date. From 1999 to date, the Southwest produced a president for 8 years, and they produced a vice president for another 8 years. They also produced Senate, House of Reps speakers, and IGs of police, and service chiefs, and you can hardly hear any concrete evidence of political marginalization of the Southwest. But the Igbos from the Southeast have neither produced a president, they have not produced a vice president, right from 1979, if there is any election from that time up to this time here. And the marginalization is political, but it's self-evident. Not economic marginalization. Yes. So the agitation from the Southeast can be said to be more credible than the one on the Southwest. But why that of the Southeast borders the country is the violence that is involved in it, the bloodshed, because it does not serve the interests of the southeastern part of Nigeria for armed men government or non-government, to turn the whole southeast into northeast. And I can tell you, look at what has become of northeast today. It's the poorest region in Nigeria, aggravated by insecurity. Southeast is Nigeria's factory, is Nigeria's market. And if you have government attacking people in Aba, in Umuahia, in Abakaliki, in Onitsha, nobody is going to go there and patronize any goods or any industry. So how does that help the cause of the southeastern part of Nigeria? Agitations for justice in the southeast should take cognizance of the need to fight for justice for southeast and protect the economic progress and economic prosperity of southeastern part of Nigeria. If trucks that are coming from Kano, from Sokoto, to deliver goods to states of the southeast and purchase products are being attacked, who is going to go there? So as far as I'm concerned, there is no doubt about it to establish the political marginalization of people from the southeastern part of Nigeria. But you must not justify. You can take your arms and attack the armed herdsmen. But the report of attacks of Hausa traders, how does it help anybody? Traders, are they armed herdsmen? Are they armed traders? They are not. What does it take if you attack a truck taking onions to the southeastern part of Nigeria? And how do you sell your product? Product from the southeast are not sold in the southeast. 80% of them goes to all parts of Nigeria. How does that help? A part of Nigeria that has become a Japan now wants to be an Afghanistan. How will that be helpful to you? So as far as I'm concerned, the legitimacy of agitation is right, but I do not think it is going to succeed. It is not going to succeed because right now, as I'm talking to you, I've been in consultations with Igbos that lives in northern Nigeria, almost all of them. I'm in constant consultation with them. I have never heard of any Igbo in northern part of Nigeria that wants to move to the southeastern part of Nigeria because of what is going on. Who are they going to leave their businesses to? The estates, the markets, the properties, the wealth they have acquired in all parts of Nigeria and West Africa. Who are they going to go back to leave it to? It's not going to work. So as far as my Igbo name is Mazi Shehu Kamgarida Sani. So you can see that as far as I'm concerned, I feel at home. I can't imagine myself waking up. I don't see an Igbo man in Kaduna. It's not possible. So any attempt by anybody to tell Igbos to go back to the southeast, we are going to resist because they are already our brothers and sisters. And they are also called indigenous Igbos of northern Nigeria. So very soon an association is going to come. As you have IPOP, indigenous people of Biafra, then there will be indigenous Igbos of northern Nigeria, which I am part of them. Well, the Southwest agitation is baseless as far as I'm concerned. For this reason, the Oduduwa Republic it has no meaning at all because if there is any injustices in Nigeria today that is being perpetrated against other ethnic group, then it is the one between Hausa people and Yoruba people working together. Because right now, they are in power from 2015 to date. A Hausa president and a Yoruba vice president. So who is marginalizing who? And from their own arrangement, if it goes down with them, if the gentleman agreement is respected, they have a possibility of producing a president in 2023 too. But ask yourself, where is a Yoruba man marginalized in Nigeria? I was one of those who stood and fought for June 12 in 1993. I went to prison for it. I was in prison for 4 years until Abacha died, and then we were all released. During Babangida's time, he arrested me. I was in prison until Babangida left seat. Shonekantu arrested me for 2 weeks. After he died, Abacha arrested me for 4 years. I was in Kirikiri prison. I was sentenced to life imprisonment. From there, they transferred me to Port Harcourt prison. And then from Port Harcourt prison, I was in Aba prison in Abia State, where until Abacha died in 1998, then I was released. So I was part of the struggle to ensure justice is done and we remove military out of government. So as far as I'm concerned, Sunday Igboho is a product of a certain sentiment that has come today. But if you put your own microscope and check very well, where is the marginalization and alienation of the Southwest? It just doesn't exist. Take, for example, under this government, a railway line has been completed from Kaduna to Abuja. We use it many times. Another railway line of supersonic age, comparatively, is constructed from Lagos to Ibadan. Which railway line is constructed in Eastern Nigeria? None. So you are part of the government. If Nigeria is an oppressive state, the North and the Southwest are the corridor of that oppression. So his own agitation, he has a right to conduct rallies and mobilize people. In a country like this, where there is so much anger, there is so much poverty, there is so much disenchantment with the government, any person who is angry, who is marginalized, who is oppressed, who is disenchanted with the way this country is being run, any form of movement you can join. You can imagine me, myself, if I am in their own position and I felt those who should lead the protest are not leading. Any protest against the government, I'm certainly going to join. So protests that are peaceful and moving towards challenging an order, there is nothing wrong with it. Picking up arms and killing people is what we don't like. And like I've said, it comes with a lot of gross human rights violations. In the North, for 10 years of the war against Boko Haram and terrorists, there were reports of serious gross human rights violations. People are innocently were arrested and executed by the military and the police on the ground of being framed as being terrorists. Communities are being razed and burnt down on the ground that they are either giving backing or they are conspiring with terrorists. So this is the same thing happening in southeastern part of Nigeria. Each time you have 2 or 3 people picking up arms for whatever reason, there is a likelihood of an escalation of gross human rights abuses by picking people, because they don't know. When you say unknown government, if they don't know the government, they will go for the ones they see. And any person can be suspected to be an unknown government, like any person was seen to be a terrorist. So the killings in the southeastern part of Nigeria is condemnable, whether it's done by known or unknown government or by the military. And because the Nigerians have been conditioned to think that there are elements that have picked up arms to fight the state, to break the country. So, and there is also a state apparatus that is given responsibility to crush that secessionist movement. So they have already obtained the license to go after anybody. And in the process, innocent young men and young women and innocent communities will suffer as a result. It is exactly what happened in the northeastern part of Nigeria that is repeating itself in the southeastern part of Nigeria.
So apparently we haven't learned a lesson.
No lessons have been learned, and I hope we will do that, because the earlier the better. Because if you continue to kill innocent people, you will find it difficult to fight the battle you want to win. Because the moment you continue to kill innocent people, you'll be losing the support of the society you are trying to win, and you will simply be fueling the flames of insurgency and secession in that place. Yeah, you see, the problem with people who have military background, they found it difficult to transform themselves to a civil life, no matter how long they have lived. And you will see in most cases their words are a reflection of their combative and belligerent mentality. In every of their thought is war. They consider criticisms as war against them being waged. They even consider opposition as an enemy. This is their own mentality. So the language being used in terms of the tweet of Mr. President is more of threatening rather than appealing to a nation and winning them over by causes of reasoning. For example, now, when the president was asked about IPOP, he said they are a dot in a cycle. Now, that word dot got life, and now is now being used against him. If I am President Buhari and the Igbos or the IPOP challenged me, I have points to give. I will say this: I am President Muhammad Buhari. Twice I have opted for an evil vice president when I contested. One in the person of Chuba Akadibo, and second in the person of Eme Ezeki, which you did not vote for me. Number three, I, Muhammad Buhari, I was the first president to readmit the former veterans of the Biafran army into the Nigerian forces and pay them their pensions and gratuity. So who can be more of an Igbo-friendly president than I am? And I am also Muhammad Buhari that constructed the next Niger bridge that crossed to the southeastern part of Nigeria. You see, when you give these reasons before your audience, then you throw it back to them for them to think twice. When I opted for Chuba Akadibo, did you vote for me? No, you did not. When I opted for Eme Ezeki as my vice president, did you vote for me? No, you did not. And who is the leader of the Igbos in history? It was Ikemba Afenewi. I had the most brilliant and cordial relationship with him when I was struggling to be president of Nigeria. He has points to give, but he could not give. So I don't know the kind of people who are around that president. So it is more of a threat. It is more of being combative. It is more of trying to even generalize between the IPOB and the other Igbos who are in support of a united Nigeria. And he made it impossible to differentiate between those who are picking up arms and those who believe in Nigeria and believe in himself. So this is my own thought about it. But we have to restructure this country if we want it to survive. Because for 6 decades since our political independence, we have been facing serious socio-economic and political challenges that demands of us to go back to the drawing board and reset and reconfigure this country so that it will work. You can't continue to use the 19th century solution to 21st century problems. Nigeria as a country is a nation of 211 million people. In 1960, we were 45 million people. So, in 1960, when we are 45 million, within the landmass of over 930,000 kilometers, it is easier for cattle to roam about in all parts of Nigeria. But in the 21st century, with 200 million people in the same space, we should have to think better. Why can't the president and northern state governors look at cattle as wealth, resettle them, build industries that will produce dairy products, beef, not only for domestic consumption, but for export? What Argentina and Australia and Netherlands are making in the export of beef and milk is more than what we are getting in the export of crude oil. Why should in the 21st century you have no solution to exploring such abundance of wealth rather than putting both the headers and the farmers in the harm's way? Please take note of this. In 1960, Nigeria's population was 45 million. So it is easier. We have a lot of space. In 2021, we are 211 million in the same space. And northern part of Nigeria covers 75% of the landmass of Nigeria. If you look at the whole of the southeast, they can fit into Kaduna State. The whole landmass of the south can fit into Kaduna State. So the little land people have to cultivate yam, cassava, cocoyam to feed their family, you allow cattle to graze and destroy them. Which kind of country are we living in? Why should there not be restructuring? Any person who doesn't want restructuring simply want this country to break up. That is my own view. And let us not waste our time. The president is not a fan, is not an advocate, is not a supporter of restructuring. Restructuring was used to win 2015 election. Restructuring was also used to win 2019 election by the ruling party. But there is no intention, whether open or hidden, to restructure this country under this dispensation. And for whoever is going to be the next president of Nigeria, should know it very well that the unity and future of Nigeria is dependent on restructuring the country politically, economically, and socially. Let us not see as if the North too is marginalized in a number of fields. 99% of Nigeria's bank is owned by people from the South. 99% of Nigeria's insurance industry is owned by people from the South. The oil companies that exist in Nigeria, the chunk percentage of it is owned by people from southern part of Nigeria. So let me ask you, restructuring will help all parts of Nigeria to realize their potential, to develop their resources, and also build on their country. Nobody should be afraid of it. He is afraid of it, but he is only going to be a president for the next 1.5 years, and he will not be a president again. And whoever is going to be the president of this country has seen the kind of crisis we have found ourselves here. There should be a system that will address the existing socio-economic and political injustices and pillars that is threatening the unity of Nigeria state. Yeah, you see, 1999 Constitution is a product of the Abdul Salam administration. Naturally, if a military government is going out and handing over to a democratic order, there must be a guiding principle and a manual, and that was the constitution. So they select who they want to select to write that constitution, and they use it to guide elections and the way the country is being run. But for 2 decades now, since we have become a democracy, it is important that we sit down ourselves and refashion our constitution to address our problems. But constitutional review have simply become a seasonal ritual with the National Assembly. From 1999 to date, all the National Assembly sessions come up with this idea of reviewing the constitution. But in most cases, you find out the basic things that need to be done are even not agreed with. How can people who want the constitution to be amended and the nation to be restructured, you cannot even agree to local government autonomy and financial independence. You can't even agree to state House of Assembly autonomy and financial independence. You can't even agree to judicial independence and autonomy. It's even becoming difficult for you to agree on such simple terms. Give judiciary their funds in state level, you don't want to. Let the State House of Assembly become independent, you don't want to. Let the local governments have their money and then execute their projects, you don't want to. I don't know how, if such simple things are difficult for us to achieve, what of the bigger things? Let me give you a typical example. Please, which state in Nigeria will agree to merge with the other states again? I don't think there is any, because territories now are controlled by political warlords. Will Katsina State merge with Kaduna State? Ebonyi State go back to Enugu State? Will Abia State go back to Anambra or Imo State? Will they do that? It's difficult to do. Will Bayelsa and Rivers march back again? Will Ekiti disappear? Will Oshun disappear back to Oyo State? What will happen? Will Sokoto, Zamfara and Jigawa return back to the old Sokoto State? So let us even agree and do some simple things before we move to harder things, which is difficult to do. The constitutional amendment going on now is something that has been done by almost all the National Assembly members, and I don't see any magic coming out of it. It is all the same thing. Allocating money to conduct zonal public hearing, memorandum has been submitted. We have been doing this since 1999, and there's nothing new there. Yeah, you see, the word rubber stamp comes from the fact that you are simply there to accept, endorse, and approve anything given to you by the executive. So by that you will acquire that name. And to be candid, the leadership of the National Assembly, Ninth Assembly, have never hidden the fact that they are there for the president. The National Assembly should be there for the constitution of the country and not the president. It should be there for the constitution. It is an independent arm of government established and recognized by the constitution to perform oversight function on the executive and hold executive to account. The National Assembly is not a parastatal of the federal government. It's not a department of the federal government. It's not an agency of the federal government. Parliamentarians or legislators are not supposed to be loyalists or subservients or boys or girls or women. of the president. They are there elected to defend the constitution, to work according to the constitution, to hold the executive to account and prevent the slide to tyranny and authoritarianism. The identity of the 9th Assembly is being given to them by people who assess the 8th, the 7th, and the 6th Assembly. And now every assembly will come with its own identity. In our own time, we have been seen to be combative, belligerent, uncooperative, and a cog against the president. So by the time we have left, now they have seen a submissive, compliant, surrendering, approving parliamentarians and legislators. And for that, they got this identity. It's a shame and disgraceful that the very political class that are in power today use the social media to criticize and oppose the previous administration. Today they are turning against it. The very political class that campaign for respect for fundamental rights and against dictatorship and tyranny, as they call it. The very political class that led protests in the street against the excessiveness and tyranny of the last administration. Today they are on the seat of power, working hard to hamstrung the right to freedom of expression, to suffocate the press and stifle dissent. The idea of National Press Council Amendment Bill and Nigerian Broadcasting Commission Amendment Bill are all attempts to gag the media, stifle opposition, deny people the right to freedom of expression, and impose punitive measures for people who choose to exercise their fundamental rights. If this parliament attempts to approve any attempt to clip the media, deny people the fundamental right to express themselves, they will be imprisoning themselves and the whole country and consuming the institution they represent. We must resist it. Social media has become a people's global parliament where people express their opinion freely. If you have anything against what people say, you can counter them. After all, there are millions and thousands of young people that are in the payroll of government, always there in social media, abusing, insulting, and countering anything you say critical of the government. So why have you paid some people to defend you and they failed? I use Twitter, I use Instagram, I use Facebook, and I cannot imagine myself not using those things here to express my opinion. So Nigerians must resist any attempt. If you are in power today and you bring in policies and programs and laws that cuts the bridges of rights of the people to express themselves, one day you're going to be out of power and you'll be committing suicide, because those freedoms, those rights will be your only shield when you're out of power. And when you don't have them, you are as good as a sitting duck. When people get into power, they change. They become draconian. They forgot the tough and turbulent journey that brought them to power. They move away from being cats to violent tigers. And they forget that as the clock ticks, so also your time of being on the throne is ticking. You will one day leave power and go back to your houses to stay. And if you're going to be persecuted by those who are going to be in power, you will suffer because you have already destroyed all the armors you will use to protect yourself. The way forward is to have a new leadership in this country.
But that's not happening until 2023.
Yes, but 2023 is already around the corner. We can endure, if you endure them for 7 years, you can endure them for 1.5 years. This time around, Nigerians should keep away sentiments and vote for a president who is going to unite Nigerians. And we should also consider those parts of the country that have not been able to produce leadership in this country. That's my view.
That's the sentiment, really.
No, it's not sentiment, it's justice. One part to continue to produce leadership in the country is not right for a nation. I know democracy is a game of numbers, but looking at our history and how we arrived here, it's important. Let's give equity demands that we look at other parts of Nigeria that form components of this federation, the opportunity to produce leadership too. That's my view.